Greetings and salutations, this is Jarsz, the biggest YouTuber ever! And good morning, Jarsals! Welcome to another edition of the Daily Jarsz for Saturday, the 28th of October, 2023. All the stupid that's fit to laugh at. Especially this.
I'm a scammer, I'm a scammer, and I'm a scammer, I'm a scammer, and I'm lying. Dave's a scammer, he's just selling his app. Dave's a scammer, he's trying to steal $3 from you for his app. Dave Weiss is a scammer. Dave Weiss is a scammer. I'm a scammer. Dave Weiss is a scammer, he's just trying to sell his app. Dave's a scammer. Dave Weiss is a scammer. I'm a scammer, my app doesn't work. I'm a scammer. I'm a scammer, I'm just trying to sell apps. I know the earth isn't flat. Dave's a moron. Dave's an app scammer. Dave just wants your money. Dave's a scammer. I'm a scammer. Dave's a scammer. He's selling a useless app. I'm a scammer. Dave's a scammer. He's just selling apps. He doesn't believe the earth is flat. I'm the scammer trying to sell an app. That's all I'm trying to do. So I'm giving you all this bullshit.
So thanks to MC Toon for that clip, and I'll have a link to his complete demolition of Dave in the description of this video. I encourage you to check it out. It's absolutely smashed him. Yes, today we're having a look at, well, deep inside the rabbit hole, or DITRH as we tend to pronounce it, also known as David Weiss. In a group absolutely chock-a-block full of grifters, DITRH is probably the most blatant charlatan. He lies about almost everything, and he'll take every opportunity, as you'll see, to push his flat earth app, which doesn't work, so that the money of idiots flows to him. He has a 3 Bitcoin challenge for proof that the earth is a globe, which several people have met, including Where's Wally, who we might see in the chat a bit later, but the bludger just denies everything and hasn't paid up, while still claiming no one has met his challenge. He's taken the saying, a fool and his money are soon parted, and turned it into a lifestyle. Yet fools keep giving him money. Somehow he has over 100,000 subscribers. That's a lot of fools, if all of those subscriptions are reals. But before we get to him, I want to thank my YouTube members. Yes, thank you to all my members. I appreciate everything that you do for me. Unfortunately, FTFE has a live stream over the top of me today. It's flat side. Why would you want to watch that? But that's how YouTube goes, of course. Shout out to those catching up on replay. We'll have fewer people in the live, but I'm sure everyone will catch up during the day. I hope. Now, DITRH is a blatant propagandist, as most charlatans tend to be. To minimize debunking of his videos, he rarely speaks. And even when he does, he puts copyrighted music over everything so that he has the opportunity to issue copyright strikes. Well, I mean, what a... It's also, the music is always very emotive or provocative, like rap music, talking about, space is fake and that kind of thing, which is part of the propaganda, of course. So all videos I'm showing will be silent, unfortunately, so it might not be that interesting, but the derp is magnified. Let's have a look at the first one. So I don't know who took this video. That sun, that eclipse doesn't look right, does it? The moon looks far too small. So the point he's trying to make, let me pause it there. So we got lens flares down here, and we got this one here. So this is, he's saying there's a sun, there's 2 suns is basically what he's showing. But this is really just the glare. And I'm not sure what this is. I was hoping Arctic Reflection to be here so he could tell me what's happening with the camera here. It's clearly not a high fidelity lens or whatever you would call it. I'm not a photographer. I don't know what the words are. Anyway, it's that he's basically arguing there's 2 suns during an eclipse. And you can see the lens flares down here. Well, you're right to ask the question. Hang on, let me go back to that question. You're right to ask the question, but you're presenting it in a way that sounds like you're actually saying that's your conclusion. But what are you basing that on? The next bit is a guy talking, and he only talks for a little bit, so I should be right copyright-wise. And it's so dumb. You want to hear this.
There's no fusion in the sun. They don't know how the sun works. What?
It's too fast for speaking. Let me slow that down. But what he just said, they don't know how the sun works.
What? What's special? How does the sun make light?
It's a transformer. Transforms from some other dimension.
How does he
It's
know
not burning
that?
anything. It doesn't have to. It's a converter.
Of what?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
So nobody knows, yet he knows it's a transformer that converts stuff from another dimension. How does he know that?
But that's what it does. That's the only thing it can do, because that's how everything works.
Transform.
If that's how everything works, how come you don't know? To know how things are done, you have to know. You can't just make guesses.
From another dimension.
Yeah, you could say it's taking energy from another dimension, counter space. There is
Counter space. So that's a Ken Wheeler reference. Ken Wheeler just made that up. So this guy is so brainwashed. It's really disappointing that someone so old, or relatively old, could allow himself to be, after a lifetime of experience and knowledge, he's allowed himself to be so convincing to nonsense.
There's no energy, actually. You can't. Most of it you can't even measure in outer space or see.
That shows your ignorance.
Can't see.
No, you can't see the sun in free space.
You can't see the sun. Do I really need to explain more?
The sun is not visible.
Not in free space. So
Not in free space. I presume he means where it's a vacuum.
visible when gross matter becomes involved, like the Earth's atmosphere and envelope and the surface of the moon or whatever. That makes the light.
So the atmosphere makes the light. So what about all the pictures from space where we can clearly see the sun? Just crazy. I guess that's why he's getting into the projected sun, because, oh, damn cursor. Because he's using that assumption that somehow the atmosphere creates the light that we see from the sun. Now I have to go on silent again. I'll speed it up again because it's boring otherwise. So here okay, so what he's doing here, he's got a light and he's doing a manual manual eclipse, you might say, from a torch or a flashlight, as you say in America for some reason, and projecting that onto a piece of paper. This is something you can do yourself. It's fairly easy. And he's saying he's replicating what happens in an eclipse. And technically that's right. Something blocks the light of the light source and you get this effect. Now, this is the interesting bit, and this is where I wanted to get Arctic in to try and explain this, because obviously that's the glare of the sun. This is a lens flare, but the lens flare moves around, so that indicates it's a lens flare because they're not holding the camera steady. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. It might be an internal barrel reflection or something like that. I'd have to know more about cameras. So maybe someone can explain that to me. Regardless, I don't think the assumption that there's a second sun that we hardly ever see except at eclipses is the answer. That seems like a bit of a leap. Well, you've got to remember that they're also inverted, which implies that there's a lens involved. Yes, curve of the lens would create a lens flare. Yes, that's how glare works. And that's a good question. I don't know what it is. But it could be because the lens, yes, multiple lenses. That's right, casual engineer. That's what I was about to say. Most camera lenses are made up of multiple lenses. So that could be an internal lens flare. And that's why it doesn't move so much. Well, no, that doesn't make sense either. Anyway, I'm sure a photographer who knows more about these sort of things can tell me one way or the other. So back to our projecting on a paper towel. You can do this yourself, as you can see. What's behind the sun we can see. With a more transparent sky, it would make sense that under the right conditions, we could see through the sky and see the source of the sun projection if we were at the right angle. Well, we do that by going into space. Oh, I might need to change the battery in my mouse. It keeps freezing. Yeah, I don't think that's analogous. It's just things that look like things, DITRH. I'm not sure what this is, but I would guess that's just something reflecting off something. That's you got to go with the Occam's razor. You got to go with the most likely option rather than one that you like. What does that even mean? Let's go back and read that again. Only when the brightness of the sun is obscured by an eclipse or certain atmospheric conditions can we see the source of the sun we see. See the source of the sun we see. Oh, he's thinking the sun is a projection. And I'm not ruling out that this is CGI. Now, note, I said earlier, he'll take every opportunity to sell his app. We're halfway through this video, and now he's doing his app, and generally his production qualities are very good. But on this video, watch this. We move to, so a minute plugging his app, and then the last 3.5 minutes is a blank screen. Oh, DITRH. All right. Ships over the horizon. Let's have a look at this one. And again, music, copyright, all that sort of thing. What speed have I got it on? 1.5. That should be good enough. "50 feet of curvature would be easily explained by refraction. And that is correct. Waves do create a false horizon, but there's not always waves. There are plenty of pictures. You can go to any. This is the most amazing thing about flat earth grifters. They don't expect anyone to actually go and do this. If you've ever been to a seaside and you've seen a ship over the horizon off in the distance, you can see this live and you can determine, as we're seeing with this video, when the wave is in the way and when it isn't. So we've seen all of us have seen pictures of ships over the horizon, and they're not necessarily, a wave wouldn't explain it. In fact, let me see if I can find that quickly. No, I don't really have time. I don't want to disrupt the stream. In some cases, yes, but here we can clearly see when it's waves and when it isn't. None of these boats are over the horizon yet. They're just close to it. See, this boat is on top of the wave now. So it's not over the horizon. And he goes into advertising his app again. And we're not, we've got another, more than half the video. Well, sorry, not more than half, almost half the video is what I meant to say, is advertising him. Grifter. Okay, this one's funny. He's comparing the space shuttle external tank and how it falls down to Felix Baumgartner's jump. And I think the The last external tank weighed about that. Normally it was around the 60 to 70,000 pounds. What's the speed on this one? 1.5, that'll do. Yes, come on. All right, here goes Felix. And he falls. So there's two things there. First of all, they're at completely different heights. Felix Baumgartner, I believe, was 8 kilometers up, something like that. There's still atmosphere there. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm just doing that from memory. I might well be wrong. And the external tank is from orbit, about 400 kilometers up. Oh, no, it's a space shuttle. It wouldn't be that high. I was thinking of the ISS. But still 100 kilometers up at least. So there's going to be no error whatsoever, and its motion is going to be completely different. Not to mention the fact that it has a much larger surface area than Felix. Crazy. And this is the core of the Flat Earth grift. They appeal to your incredulity and the incredulity of people who aren't very experienced and aren't very knowledgeable, i.e. vulnerable people. And that's what's so disgusting about it. They prey on the vulnerable. We jumped from nearly 39 kilometers, Felix did. Thank you, Orion Cooper. Which is still pretty high, but not as high as the space shuttle. Nowhere near. The atmosphere at 39 kilometers is about the same as the atmosphere on Mars. Interesting enough. But certainly where the space shuttle was, there was next to nothing in terms of atmosphere. But what it looks like is completely irrelevant. It's what you can measure it to be that matters. And of course it's free falling because the space shuttle's free falling. That's what orbit means. Yes, they are, because he's in the space shuttle. And here's the ridiculous thing. He's thinking the space shuttle, the external tank falling from space looks the same as a blimp. Well, maybe it does. But so what? Unless you can prove they're doing the same thing is happening, it means nothing that they look the same. I could say David Weiss's face looks like a horse's ass. Does that make his face a horse's ass? That's the same argument you're using, Dave. Yeah, well, it's not exactly floating there, is it? And why would it be a blimp? Why would you go up 150 Ks or whatever it was and release a blimp? How much more we got of this? So yeah, there are more blimps, some designs of blimps, but unless you can prove the external tank is a blimp, that's irrelevant. And advertising his app again. Let me go back to the external tank. I want to show something in particular here. Note how the back of it is all charred, as if a whole lot of flames have been blowing all over it for ages. So a blimp from rocket flames, don't you think it would blow up? I mean, you saw the Hindenburg. Yes, why would you make a steel blimp? It makes no sense. It obviously was built to withstand the rocket blast. Blimps don't go up 150 Ks. It's just nonsensical. And yet people fall for this. It's so sad. All right, on to the next one, where he claims we are not moving. Now, there's emotive piano music over this, and I believe the sort of ghosted images you're seeing are from the film clip for that music. So for some reason, he's presenting a picture of a sunset. No, it's not going away. It's got the same angular size, and you're showing that. Well, you can claim that they're thousands of feet higher than the camera, but you presented no evidence for that. And now the sun is halfway down, and it's still the same angular size as it was when it was approaching. So what are you actually proving here, Dave? If anything, you've proved the globe. Going beyond what? The horizon? And what's the problem with moving in 4 directions at once, Dave? Nope, I didn't quite get the words up. There's no problem with us moving in 4 directions. Flat earthers cannot hold more than one concept in their head at the same time. Tusk, it is the 28th. You're living in the past, man. Quit living in the past, man. And I think he moves into his app advertising. Reality tells us differently. No, you just demonstrated that you're wrong about that. Reality does not show that differently. The moon is approaching from behind the clouds. Well, technically, yes. But again, angular size, the same. It might change a little bit because of the atmosphere. You're looking through a lot thicker atmosphere nearer the horizon than you are further up. Note how he didn't show it coming up over the horizon. This is not proof that we are not moving. And it's not proof that Earth is flat. It's just you saying things and hoping the idiots that you're trying to grift will just accept what you say. That is propaganda. That is brainwashing. All right. It's not quite so interesting without the music. Not you, Gary. Gary's not here, is he? He couldn't possibly be. How far can we see the sun on a flat Earth? Yes, so what? What does that prove? Well, so what? Yeah? Well, no. Why didn't you use an actual picture of the sun? Well, there's a few clouds there. It makes it a bit clearer. Yes, on Mars, you can see it's a bit smaller. And Pluto even smaller. Oh, incredulity coming in. Yes, there's a difference. So what? What would that prove? Of course there is. We can see stars from other galaxies. Yeah, you can look through a telescope at them. So what? What does that prove? What lies? You haven't. Yes, stop believing the lies and look at the evidence, and you'll see that Dave is a grifter. He hasn't presented anything here. You first, Dave. You first. And he plugs his app again. He's such a grifter. Dear. All right. And before we go to one more before beam roundup, what's with the piano player? Can you hear that? I can't hear anything. Anyway, let's a test for your intelligence. Oh, I'm not sure how good this will be, Dave, because you're not very good on intelligence. Oh, what's the speed on this? India landed a cartoon on the moon. Oh my God. Can you tell the difference? No one thought it was real, you idiot. No, you won't, I bet. Yes, it's a cartoon. It's an animation representing what was going on. Yeah, now they go into South Park, so I'm going to skip over that. I'm sure you've seen this South Park bit before. Where's the end of it? Here we go. Now, I believe that's real footage, but that isn't. No, that's not real. No one said it was. Yeah, and they're happy they achieved something rather significant. No, it's not real. No one says that, Dave, except you and other grifters. And he plugs his app again. Oh, the South Park bit is real? Perhaps. All right, so as you can see, he'll do anything to, give people reason to give him money, basically. Oh, no, everyone's lying to us. This is proof. No, it's not proof at all. Nothing I showed today was proof of anything, except that you're a grifter. I've had enough of that. We will come back to this. Let's move on to Meme Roundup. Hang on, did I miss anything? Yep, that's it. Yep. Did you know the only reason you're able to read this right now is not due to satellites orbiting a spinning ball Earth, but underwater submarine cables, which are responsible for more than 99% of international data being transmitted on the internet? What about the other 1%? We use different things for different purposes. Satellites are great for certain things, especially if you're out in the bush somewhere where there's no connection to these cables. Most of the traffic does go through the cables because that's the most reliable way of transmitting it. But when your satellite phone works off satellites, but not a lot of people are out in the bush. Most of them are in the city where they have easy access to cables and things. So that's why that happens. It doesn't disprove the fact that there are satellites. And they're actually saying, well, because it disproves satellites, which it doesn't, it disproves space. Go out at night and look up, either side of sunset or sunrise, and you'll see satellites coming over. I've seen the ISS many times. I've filmed it. Satellites are real. You'd have to be a complete idiot to believe otherwise. And this is another incredulity one, similar to the Indian moon lander. That one is actually a photograph that's been adjusted. All the others are animations. And the reason they're animations is because no one's going to be there to film it when it lands. That's why they do the animations, to represent what they're to give people an image to understand what's going on. It's just incredulity. They're saying, oh, no, if you're using a cartoon, then it can't be real. Well, no, it's just impossible to get a real photograph because of where it is. Incredulity is not an argument. Speaking of incredulity, this is actually a debunker meme. So Flurfs always use crepuscular rays as proof that the sun is local. But really, it's just perspective. You're seeing it from the wrong perspective. And to emphasize that, the lines on the road, we know this road continues. It doesn't just stop here at this vanishing point. So the end of the road isn't there in the same way that the sun isn't there. But Flurfs don't understand that. They don't want to understand that. Oh, I have a new member, BPA. Welcome to Jarsz. Thank you very much for joining and becoming a member. I'll be adding you to the member role. And another debunker one. The thing is about the curve, the Earth is 40,000 kilometers in circumference. That's a massive distance. So if you're on the surface of that, whatever you have, whatever horizon you have, it's going to be minimal in terms of curvature left to right. The fact that you have a horizon is proof that there is curvature front to back, if you know what I mean. So, but I disagree with this meme. It doesn't drive flurfs insane. To be a flurf is to be insane. Now, this is a new one. I've only saw this one last night. Abyssal plains are extremely flat areas that lie in the deep ocean basins. They cover more than 50% of Earth's surface. Now, I'd like to get that number checked. They are the flattest places on Earth, and they're demonstrating what an abyssal plain is. So after the continental shelf, it's the abyssal plain, where the deepest part of the ocean. I would doubt it's 50% of the Earth's surface because, well, first of all, 30% of the Earth's surface is land. So, you know, there's not much left for it to be all plains. And the main place where there's abyssal plain is where continents are moving apart, like in the Atlantic. Where they're crushing up, you don't have that. So abyssal plain, a wide flat area on the ocean floor found near mouths of large rivers. Well, that doesn't make sense. If it's 50% of the Earth's surface, that'd be a hell of a lot of rivers. How can 50% of Earth's surface be flat on a ball? Earth is flat, research it. If you research it, you realize it's crap. Flat Earth is crap. Even just on this meme, I've found some contradictions. But as usual, flurfs are confusing elevation with flatness. Level and flat aren't the same thing. Level means you have the same elevation, which is basically from the center of the Earth. Yeah, with a few adjustments. But flatness means from this point to that point, it's a plane. That's not what we're talking about here. These abyssal plains are actually curved because they curve with the curvature of the Earth. Anyway, it to me seems so obvious that this is crap that I shouldn't really need to explain it further. Now, this is one of the most... I mean, Flat Earth is a conspiracy. And most people behind it are conspiracy-minded, and that's what drives them down these rabbit holes. But I find these sort of things really funny. They're presenting this as truth hidden in plain sight. So they've named the certain places in Antarctica, the Great Wall, Dome Sea, Deception, and Troll. Well, first of all, I believe Deception was named after a ship. And the other thing I want to make is, if it's all a great conspiracy, why would you try and risk exposing that conspiracy by doing this, naming him along these lines? Again, it's an incredulity thing, and incredulity is no argument at all. Now, I found this fascinating, actually. This is a sky stone, and it's not made of pure oxygen. It's about 77%, which is a high percentage, and they're meteorites. But I think the implication here is that they are bits of the dome. If the dome's breaking up, we're in trouble. So, Ryan Cooper, do you mean 50% of the underwater surface or the entire surface? I'm happy if the number's correct, but it doesn't seem right. That's an argument from incredulity, but I'm also saying I haven't checked yet either. So I'm being honest both ways. And this is a meme that I've seen in the last couple of months, which I find hilarious. They compare a floor, the reflection of lights on a floor, lights that aren't the sun, of course, with the reflection of the sun on an ocean. Now, they're not comparable. That distance, what would maybe, let's call it 50 meters. This distance would be, well, presumably around 5 kilometers. And it's on a ball that's 40,000 kilometers in diameter, in circumference, sorry, not diameter. And I don't know if it's just my eye or the fact that I've got a curved screen, but I think I see a bit of a curve on that horizon, left to right. We should do a compression on that and see what happens. But it's not that distinct a horizon, though, either. It's a bit of a mucky photo. But if the curve is so slight, because it's 40,000 kilometers in diameter, in circumference, I keep saying the wrong thing, you would expect to get similar results, wouldn't you? If it's so close to flat that it doesn't make a lot of difference, especially with the size of things we're talking about, you'd expect to get similar results. So this is just incredulity again, because they don't know what they're looking at. And this is another, like the blimp in the external tank from the space shuttle, things that look like things. They fire a bullet into the water and a rocket scraping the dome, as they say. No, bullets don't have engines on the back of them for a start. And what we're seeing here are rocket gas exhaust. So you might think that looks like it's going through water, but that's the end of the rocket, not the front of it. And that's just the exhaust gases expanding as you move into areas of lower pressure, as you do, because there is a gradient. No one disagrees with that unless you're a complete idiot. Damn, cursor. I forgot one more. Yep, the shape of the Earth. If the shape of the Earth is not so important, then why did they teach you from so young that it's a spinning ball? Because it is. That's like saying, if maths is so important, why did they teach you from so young that 1 + 1 = 2? You teach it that because that's what all the evidence shows it is. And finally, this is the way I feel pretty much most days. I ask for flat Earth evidence, and I'm still waiting for it. You feel the same way? Flat Earthers never provide evidence for anything they say. Okay, so that's been rounded up for today. Have you seen a silly meme lately? Please send it to me and I'll show it on the stream if it's for general consumption, of course. Contact details are in the description of this video, so just email, Discord, whichever you prefer. Now, an announcement. I take 7 days off, so no daily Jarsz tomorrow, which is normal. On Monday, though, I have to be somewhere half an hour's drive away, half an hour after the show finishes. So I'm not that much of a risk taker. So Monday's show, Sunday night for many of you, here in Australia it's Monday, will be at 2300 UTC instead of the usual 2000. This is a one-off, and we'll be back to normal on Tuesday. Rachel's still ill, so she won't be on the show, but we'll do something with her one day next week, hopefully, if she gets better. So all the best, Rachel. Hope you're feeling better soon. Let me know who you'd like me to look at in the near future by leaving a comment below, and I appreciate all suggestions. For Monday, I'm planning on looking at what CC has put out in the last week, because it's always good to start the week with a belly laugh. I'm planning on alternating between CC and Level Earth Observer every Monday, as you guys seem to like them the best. So that will be 2 weeks of dirt from each to catch up on every time. Remember, I suffer through their channel so that you don't have to. Do the YouTube things, like the stream, subscribe, click join, and then become a member, like what BPA did today. I love to read your comments, so please leave a comment in particular. And also, if you're one of the few who watch my videos and aren't subscribed to the channel as yet, please click the subscribe button below this video. And if you have subscribed, keep an eye on my community tab. I'll be putting up some polls up soon to get some feedback and hopefully make a few decisions about where we're going with this. I think that just about does it. There's nothing left to do but cue the corgi.
You're defeated.